With you on today. So thanks for taking your time this morning to hang out with us. I'm Dave Lee. I'm a local Denver-based vehicle product training specialist here, and I help cover a 6-state territory and get out and train salespeople. And so I'm very, very pleased to be here today to talk to you about our latest products. So this morning we're going to focus on our TRD Pro vehicles. On your left you've got the Tacoma TRD Pro, and on your right you've got the Tundra TRD Pro. And then back over here, a little behind us, is going to be the 4Runner TRD Pro. And these are the 20 models, so these are prototypes. But this will give you an idea, if you want to look and feel a little bit, of what these vehicles have on them for the 20 model year coming up. Okay? So we have a couple of mystery vehicles here I'll talk about in a second. I'll show you a short video clip here, though, let you get an idea of what it is we plan these vehicles to do.
Sightseeing time. Try to keep up.
This place is awesome, huh?
You know, they spotted old Harry right over there.
Well, I guess one could probably question their odds for finding Sasquatch racing around in the middle of the wilderness with some loud, big, bulky trucks, right? But nonetheless, I'm hoping that you get an idea there that we have set these vehicles up to appeal to our outdoor lifestyle, right? You know, our adventure drivers, people who want to go out and get their trucks a little dirty. So let's start with one of our vehicles who is not here today, sadly, and also the newest member to our TRD Pro family, and that is our Sequoia TRD Pro model. Was introduced in Chicago. I think Sequoia is right now engaged at a party in Dallas somewhere. So it couldn't be here today, but nonetheless, this is our newest edition, and I'll take you through a brief review here of some of the cool features. We'll start out by going into the suspension. We've got TRD tuned suspension. We're using some Fox shocks, which are designed to help this vehicle survive a little more punishment out on the trail. You can hammer it a little bit more, and the shocks will hopefully maintain their composure for you and keep you under control. So these Fox shocks are a nice addition to that truck. Moving along here, as our little animations work, we've got Rigid Industry driving lights, which are much like the ones you see on your Tacoma model. Some unique wheels on that Sequoia to also help identify it as an off-road pro model. And then our TRD catback exhaust is an accessory that can be put on these vehicles. And when you got that 5.7 liter V8 under the hood and you put the TRD exhaust on it, bumps you a few horsepower and makes a really cool sound coming out the tailpipe, virtually guaranteeing you won't see Sasquatch anywhere around. We have a heritage-inspired front grille, we call it. And what that means at Toyota is a grille that has the word Toyota on it instead of an emblem, right? That's our version of a heritage grille. We've got our badging on the side of the vehicle there to help identify it. And then also a really cool TRD front skid plate that helps protect your front steering rack and engine oil pan areas there up front underneath the truck. Running boards on the TRD Pro Sequoia are set up to not only help you get in and out, but also absorb some punishment and absorb some battle damage from rocks and the like out there on the trail. And you've got a nice roof rack, so if you are going to do a little bit more of an expedition type situation, maybe go out and camp a little bit, You've got some space to stash goodies there up high. Inside, you've got unique TRD Pro seating material with unique stitching and badging. On the dashboard, Sequoia finally is getting some updates to its electronics. I know, it's okay to applaud. I've already had my personal party about this too. So we've got an updated audio system. We're going to sport Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. If you have an Android-based phone, you'll be able to use Amazon Alexa. And in fact, these features here, you're going to find them for the 20 model year on all of our truck-based stuff. So we're in the process now of making some changes to our electronics and our in-cabin technology. So Sequoia is going to benefit from that. And also you're going to see some push-button start models on Sequoia. So we've updated our wiring harness there. We're going to make that happen. Now, if you go to a TRD Pro Sequoia model, you don't have to get a white one like the video showed, right? We do have a nice color palette here. Frankly, my favorite would be an army green and maybe a fun military emblem on there of some sort, and have a little bit of fun with that. But nonetheless, you've got some great colors there that will identify this truck as its unique model. And now let's talk about our friend the Tundra. It has a couple of things happening to it. It's over here on your right. You can get an idea of what the 20 model year will look like with the TRD Pro Tundra. Oh, let me back up here real quick. Also note there, we've had it in Crew Max for the last model year. We're now going to expand TRD Pro to the double cab models also. So we are increasing the availability of this model grade to a couple of different cab configurations to give owners a little bit more choice on cab configuration and having all the off-road features. Like Sequoia, Tundra's dashboard is going to get a little bit of a technology update, right? So once again, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Amazon Alexa are going to be able to be used in this vehicle, which we're very excited about. JBL audio will be standard on the Pro model and be available on more grades of Tundra too, as we enhance our relationship with the folks at Harman Kardon and get more JBL premium audio products in our vehicles. So we kind of expanded that relationship a bit. Now here's another popular product here, right? 4Runner is the third best-selling product in the Denver Metro for Toyota in general. So TRD Pro 4Runner is a highly sought-after vehicle here. People are usually scrapping over them. And we've got some updates for you there. TSS, Toyota Safety Sense, is now on the 4Runner chassis. This is the final product for us to get it on. Inside the 4Runner, you're going to see some changes to the gauges for the 20 model year as we put in the display necessary for the driver to be able to interact with this new safety system, right? So this is something that we've been working on for a bit. 4Runner will also have some other additional electronic upgrades at its radio system too. So now, as of the announcement of this with 4Runner, we will have some version of Toyota Safety Sense on every product we build, whether it's the little Yaris or the mighty Land Cruiser, right? Somewhere in there, we've got it on all of our products now. This is my favorite part here. Our best-selling product in the Denver Metro is Tacoma, and frankly, by a pretty good margin. So TRD Pro Tacomas also are another thing that our owners out there tend to scrap over when they're at the dealers. So let's dive in and get you updated on that. First of all, last year, Tacoma sales at the end of 18 ended up at 245,000, which for us is an increase of nearly 50,000. In the Denver region, in the mid-size pickup truck segment, we currently hold 61% of this market. We are up about 24% from 2017. So 18 was a great year for Tacoma for us, and the TRD Pro has been one of our signature models to lead that charge. And so you can see the 20 model over here. You can see some of the great features on it. We've got our Desert Air intake on there. You can see the revised front grille. We'll give you some slide shots of that too. But Tacoma's coming off a great year for us. It has been the best-selling mid-size pickup now for 14 years. And of course, personally, just on a personal note, I pray it continues to do that. But it's a great truck. It's got a great off-road heritage. But as I'm sure you all know, right, this market segment's changing, is it not? We got some new players coming out there. That Gladiator looks pretty nice. The Ranger's a good truck. So we got some other players coming in. It's going to be interesting to see how we respond to that market pressure. But great truck, great vehicle over the years. So here's your 20 model there. This is a non-pro model, but you can kind of get an idea. We're going to some LED headlamps, a change in our daytime running light setup, a change in availability of driving lamps and the like. So we are making some changes on the outside of the Tacoma in general as well as inside. Here's an example of a couple of the grills. Here's a Limited and an SR5 grill here, and then your Pro grill is over on your left. You can kind of get an idea of what we're doing with these exteriors on the truck. Inside, like its friends, Tacoma is going to get some revised audio in-cabin technology to include, once again, Apple CarPlay and the like, right? So we've got a lot of this electronics coming to our body-on-frame vehicles. This one right here might be my biggest announcement of the day. Working in sales training, I can't tell you how many times I'm asked, where is the power seat in Tacoma? Well, now I can tell you, for 20 model year, you can get it, okay? 10-way driver adjustable power seat, finally on the Tacoma pickup. And it will be very fun to see how we engineered that, because that cab is rather tight in its design, right? So, but that's something we finally did come out with, and we're excited about that. We think our owners are going to embrace this in large numbers. A couple other available technologies that Tacoma will have that I think are cool. These are existing technologies we've had at Tacoma. On the left of that audio screen there, you're going to see a multi-terrain cam view. That's something we introduced on Land Cruiser in our company. We're going to bring that out as an available feature on Tacoma, as well as that bird's eye view, which we've had on RAV4 and a couple other products. So we're also going to help those Tacoma drivers out there with some advanced in-cabin technology that hopefully should let them see the trail a little bit better and also maneuver around town a little bit better. Rounding out the Tacoma, you're going to have some TRD wheels there. You've got your new headlamps. The other thing, if you look at this prototype closely, you'll see on the left it says TRD on the left and Pro on the right under your headlamp. So we got a little, kind of a cool lit up moniker for the owners there too, and some blacked out tail lamp assemblies to kind of round out Tacoma's new exterior for 2020. We anticipate your 2020 model Tacoma showing up here sometime late summer. It could be August, could be early September. We're still kind of rough on our actual production start date on that, but look for these vehicles in your dealerships here in the area and look for them in your press fleet probably late summer here coming up this year. Okay, we're going to shift gears a little bit here and bring up another player on our slides, and that is our new RAV4. This is another vehicle that we introduced in, of course, the end of last year, right? You have the all-new RAV4 chassis here today. We've got hybrid RAVs just now showing up at dealerships, but we have an all-new model we want to talk about too, and that is the TRD Off-Road RAV4. This was also introduced at Chicago, and like the Sequoia is tied up somewhere else in the nation right now, so she's not here for you to see, but an all-new model that we're very excited about that we think will get our RAV4 owners stirred up a little bit. But to start off with, last year here, RAV is our best-selling Toyota product, period, nationally. It is our #2 seller here in the Denver metro, but overall nationally we sold 427,000 of these guys. And of course last year, year before last, it supplanted Camry as our overall best-selling vehicle at Toyota. In addition to that, it is right now the nation's best-selling non-pickup vehicle, for what it's worth. So RAV is a big player for us. It's very important to us in our lineup. Here's a good look at the TRD Off-Road RAV4. You'll see some resemblance, maybe perhaps to the Adventure model in some of its construction, but we take that a good deal further than just looks. It's a good shot there of the vehicle out doing what it's supposed to do. Torque vectoring all-wheel drive system is currently our most sophisticated all-wheel drive system we offer. You'll find that on RAV4 in the upper grades. Multi-terrain select features allow the drivers then to tailor their off-road traction control based on the conditions they're driving in, right? If they see mud and sand, they can select that and try to blast through it. If they see a rockier section, they can select that and be a little bit more dainty with their wheel spin and inch through that without tearing up their tires and the like. So the drivers have a lot of off-road decision-making they can now tell their vehicle to help them out with. In addition to that, it will tow up to 3,500 pounds if equipped. Under the hood, everything is there you need on the off-road model. All the driver needs to do is purchase a receiver hitch and a wire kit, and they're good to go. And so with 3,500 pounds capacity in this segment, that's pretty capable, if you will. Moving along. The off-road model has some specific suspension treatments done to it. It's using unique shock absorbers. They're a twin tube type, but they are tuned more for rough driving, if you will. And then also our coil springs we've been worked on them a little bit with the folks at TRD to help out. Revised bump stops in the suspension are going to also round out your suspension capability. So the suspension will resist bottoming more than ever before, but also stretch more than ever before to give this RAV driver some advantages off-road. Finishing it off, we've got some unique TRD wheels and Falken tires on this vehicle, which for us is a bit of a departure from the usual. You can get a look here on this slide, some of the badging. We've got gray lower fascia there to try to deflect some of the debris hitting the lower part of the vehicle. And then finally some nice driver fog lamps there that have a nice blacked out background to round out the exterior of the RAV TRD off-road. And then inside you're gonna have unique seat upholstery and stitching and some really cool embossed all-weather floor mats, anticipating our drivers getting these vehicles a little dirtier. All of your TRD off-road model RAVs will come standard with a sunroof too, to kind of round out some of the mechanicals on it. And in the end, sadly, I have to tell you, our drivers did not see Sasquatch. So I hate to disappoint, but once again, when you're blasting around with a bunch of noisy vehicles, what do you expect? But we do have a Yeti for you attendees today, which I guess is a Sasquatch competitor or a friend, depending on, I don't know if they've ever met. But anyway, with that, as you leave, you can pick those up from us. But otherwise, I would take a moment now to say, do you have any questions for me on these or any other Toyota products we got hanging out here? Any other things come to mind? Oh, yes, ma'am. When will the Highlander get CarPlay? That is scheduled, I believe Highlander may be set up to get it in the coming model year. Keep an eye on that. I think it's coming soon for Highlander. Yep, it's a good question. I have another one here. Yes, sir?
Yeah, recently in our blizzards, I encountered some strange things with our bumper cameras. When they cover the snow, they don't work. I think you need to think about putting some heater elements on those because you get dirty, you get the magnesium chloride, you get the snow, the cameras all quit working.
That's freaking annoying, isn't it? I got to say, I'm in Conifer, right, and I'm driving a Tacoma with a nice backup monitor, and to your point, you get in it, you get all buckled up, you start your car, right, and you put it in reverse, and all you see is a haze, right? So I've learned to lick the finger and wipe that lens, but that's not very technologically advanced, is it? But that is something, though, that it's a great point. We should see if there is something we can do. Yeah, I don't know, but it's a great point, right? You get to where you get used to those backup monitors, and I'm thinking, gosh, this is like a throwback. I got to use my mirrors again. Oh my God, right? It's weird, but and I'm not being sarcastic. That's how I think about it. But that's a great point. Yes, sir. Minuscule. The question is, what's TRD Pro's share of Tacoma sales? We build roughly 2,500 a year, and we're selling over 200,000. So it's a very, very small percentage. But it is kind of a halo vehicle, right? These Pro vehicles really are a halo for Toyota to develop interest. And also, of course, the owners that want them, then they do have to scrap for them. But that's also, I think, a sound strategy for keeping the product in demand, I think, too, if you have too much of it. But yeah, it's a very small percentage. Yeah, in fact, it's a higher percentage in 4Runner because we still run about 2,500, but 4Runner sales are in the 170s. It's interesting, 4Runner nationally is not a huge player for Toyota if you look at our volumes on some of our big products, but 4Runner in the mountain states, it outsells all of our SUVs and does it handily. So in this market, it's definitely a strong seller for us. It's very popular here. So yeah, it's interesting, right? I brought a friend out to Colorado last year and I said, hey, you're gonna come out and visit, that's great. And he was like, yeah, and we were driving around and he saw an FJ Cruiser on the road, right? And I was like, yeah, those are pretty rare. We only sold about 12,000 a year. And within 15 seconds, he's like, what's that? I was like, that's another FJ Cruiser. What's that? That's another FJ Cruiser, right? Out of the 12,000 a year we sold 11,997 of them in Denver, right? So, but anyway, 4Runner is very popular here and for good reason. But, yeah, another question here, David?
It's a TRD marketing question. It used to be TRD was known for going fast and having racing products for asphalt-based, whether it was Corolla, MR2, Celica. Is there anything left from TRD that looks like they're going towards an off-road mode for vehicles? But are there other TRD products out there?
That's a very good question. So I don't know if you could hear, but Dave's question is about TRD, and it seems like we have a lot of TRD off-road stuff these days, but what about our passenger cars, right? That kind of thing. We don't have anything official to say yet, but I would advise you to keep your eyes peeled. That concept of having TRD stuff for our on-road vehicles is nowhere near being over. You'll see some stuff coming from us, but you'll have to be a little patient with us, but it's coming. So, nothing currently that's mentionable. We have TRD accessories for many of our models, some of which are suspension components and things, but I think you may see some more TRD themed items production-wise coming from us in the near future. It's a good question. Yes, sir.
How many more model years for this
Haha. How many more model years for these guys? Well, let's see. Generally, our pickup trucks normally run on a 7-year life cycle, but don't hold us to that. This came out as a 16, maybe 22 or 23 model year. Should be a swap for Tacoma. It's currently in mid-cycle. Now, the Tundra, you could have an argument about generations, but it was last major changed in 14 as a 14 model. So realistically, it's getting close, right? I can tell you that we are constantly in development for the new products. Tundra is in development, but I have no idea when we plan to launch. But I would also recommend you keep your eyes peeled on that vehicle if you see any information come out, because expect some big changes on Tundra the next time around. Yes, sir. New plant is not online yet, but yeah, we do have some production constraints, yes. These trucks kind of do a little bit of seesaw in our numbers, right? Depending on fuel prices and demand. Tacoma right now is very, very much in demand. Tundra is still in demand, but maybe not as much as it was at its peak, right? But we've got a single plant in San Antonio right now building these two vehicles. So we do have to weigh that, right? And look at our ability to meet the market demands. There's been a lot of change, right? We're still building passenger cars in large numbers, and we plan to continue that. So the plant dance, as you call it, does go on with us, where we try to alter production or maybe change production in areas. But right now, one truck plant for us. That may change, though. Yes, sir.
There was an electric all-wheel drive system announced for some traditional front-wheel drive models. Is that going to replace mechanical all-wheel drive in Toyota products, or is that going to be standalone?
That's a great question. So the question is, our application of electric all-wheel drive, like we just brought it out for Prius, right? Those should be showing up in your dealerships here anytime. They may already be arriving. I don't know if I would see it as a substitute for mechanical all-wheel drive, but I got to tell you, I think that there are some advantages to the electric version of that. We can computer control it even more finely than we do with a clutch-driven, computer-controlled gas all-wheel drive system. We have better control over it. I would suggest that it also affects vehicle performance in a positive way more than negative. We don't tend to sacrifice as much fuel economy with electric all-wheel drive. Where a gas model version of that, you've got more drive shafts to turn, more weight. They tend to produce less performance and less fuel economy. But I think what you're going to see is we will continue to try to offer electric all-wheel drive on our hybrids as appropriate. And I think on our gas models, I wouldn't anticipate a gas front-wheel drive with an electric back end, but I got to tell you, that's my opinion and not that of the company. I don't know for sure, but based on what I've seen over the years and what I know, I would say that they're probably going to remain separate in their world. Now, what I can tell you is that we are going to be selling more hybrid RAV4s here in the Denver region than ever before. We are going to get as many of them as we can. If you haven't been in one, get in one. They are very, very fast. Very, very fun to drive, and they are very capable for traction, including some light off-roading. So I think you're going to see us continue to move more in that hybrid direction, which will bring you more of the electronic all-wheel drive systems. Yes, sir. So why is the CHR front-wheel drive only, and do I see it getting all-wheel drive? First part of that would be, it was a marketing decision we made early on in the production of the car. It started out as a Scion product. Does anybody remember the Scion division? And we anticipated that as being a more urban use vehicle. I guess hindsight being what it is, it would be nice to have an all-wheel drive one of those. And I know we are considering that. I don't know where we are in the process. The engine that currently resides in that car is not compatible with our all-wheel drive systems. So we need to either engineer the all-wheel drive side of it or figure out a new power plant or a different one perhaps. But that is something we've had under study for a while, but I got to be honest with you, I don't know where we stand in that situation. But being a Denver resident here, or a Denver area resident, I would hope we would have at some point in time. It would really broaden that car's appeal. It's a great vehicle. Yes, sir. Okay, so the question is, does the TRD Pro RAV4 have increased ground clearance? It mirrors that of our adventure grade, and it's currently running at 8.6 per our quotes, which is about, a quarter inch more. The others are at 8.4. So it does have a touch more ground clearance. Yeah, TRD off-road, yeah. For nomenclature, we don't have a TRD Pro RAV. Yeah, if I said that, forgive me, but thank you. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry? Oh, with the TRD Pro versus
No, Corolla Cross.
Corolla Cross. Me neither. Forgive me, I'm ignorant on that. I'm sorry.
So yeah, so we just wanted to thank all you guys for joining us today, and the rest of the show.
If you have any more questions, I'll be hanging around here. If anybody wants to see the Prius, I can take you on a walk around, whatever you'd like. Thanks, gang.